We are literally on the eve of the biggest change in the history of cryptocurrency and, of course, Bitcoin. And that is the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, what makes this moment so special is that I'm going to show you how the information asymmetry for those people who are outside of crypto versus those of us who are following the day-to-day evolution of cryptocurrency and especially this process to create a Bitcoin ETF. We are so far ahead of the herd, and this has caused some serious doubts to creep in within the crypto community. And I'm going to show you how nobody is predicting what's about to happen in January to our beloved cryptographic tokens. That's right, I believe there is a high probability, not a guarantee, but a high probability that we will see astronomical price movements within crypto, and I've flagged for you the coins that I believe are going to outperform the entire market. Again, we've covered countless explosive tokens here on the channel. It's not even worth naming all of them, there are far too many, but obviously if you've been following the channel, we've been getting you ahead of each and every major trend in the market. And I believe that the work that I've done over Q4 of 2023 may be some of my best work ever on the channel, so please, if you haven't yet, go back and review my thesis on gaming, my thesis for 2024 portfolio design, and overall the outlook that I've outlined over the last 5 videos or so. I'm trying to make each and every video packed with so much useful knowledge that it utterly enriches the audience, and I'm staying away from publishing content unless I'm absolutely sure I have something really important to share. This, I believe, will maximize the time we spend together and truly juice every last drop out of the value you get from these videos, which means that I appreciate if you destroy that like button and share this video everywhere you can hyperlink it. Go tell your friends, tell your family. This is, in my opinion, the turning point for cryptocurrency. Let's explain why. But first, my friends, we need to go down
to the Kentucky Derby. I do declare that Bitcoin it will be racing to the moon in the Kentucky Derby. Huh.
That's right, we have a race on our hands. Understanding this is going to be instrumental for how you can contextualize why January is going to be a huge, and in my opinion, a positive month for Bitcoin and crypto. Check this out. We have not one, but 11 spot Bitcoin ETF filers all trying to get off the starting lines and become the fastest horse to win market share in the Bitcoin ETF race. You see, people like to buy into winners. Just like they like to buy into green coins that go up, people trust that bigger is better. And this is proven out with most leading ETFs effectively growing bigger and bigger over time, while smaller ETFs struggle to catch up. It's not like people put their money into the smaller ETF if it's a fairly similar product. They'd rather be where more people are putting their money. It feels safer. So with that in mind, as people look to allocate to the Bitcoin ETF, this new baby boomer generation that has never gotten to one-click allocate to Bitcoin without figuring out the private seeds and the Coinbase and the KYC and the don't store your keys in your wallet and don't click on that link because you'll get drained, all that's gone now. They can call up their broker, send an email, boom, they're in Bitcoin. That is the next step. And that's why this is so big. But you have to understand that the people trying to create this Bitcoin traded product are all competing with each other. And some of them are not playing fair because they know that if they become the leader here, that this could mean billions of dollars in annual revenue. Now, what's funny is that the crypto community is so convinced that everybody's so sure that the Bitcoin ETF is happening that they have declared this a sell the news event, meaning that once it's approved, and specifically once it goes live, people will just sell Bitcoin saying, hey, look, that was it. We've all been building up to this moment, but really the smart money has made all their gains and they're just going to dump right now. And while that could happen temporarily, meaning you get a short term, maybe a few days, a few weeks of downside, I believe that we will see some astronomical inflows through the Bitcoin ETF. And here is proof. Now, before we get to that proof, I just want to show you, here are some of the loudest voices in crypto. Mr. Adam Cochran saying that I think most people are overestimating the impact of the ETF short term, while underestimating it long term. I think for sure people are underestimating the power of the endless TWAP, the endless buying power that comes in from a millennial generation that constantly adds to the stock market, and Bitcoin being a part of that constant addition. That's not the point. The question is what's happening short term. We all want to know what happens 5 minutes from now, not like we actually talk about, which is zooming out and planning for a few years from now. Anyway, he says short-term flows may be meh, And this is actually a sentiment that you see all around the industry. You see here, Peter McCormack, ETF prediction, price dumps on the news, weak hands panic, leverage traders get margin called, legends pick up cheap sats, and price rises prior to ETFs actually trading. The thing is, I think that this gap, based on my understanding, could be as short as 48 hours. So I don't know if this is going to be a big gap between the approval and the trading. I think originally we thought this would be a few weeks between approval and trading starting, but what I'm hearing now from experts like Eric Balakunis is that this could be as quick as 48 hours, or actually it should be. So if you look up here, ETF sell the news, you pretty much just see constant takes here in crypto Twitter. ETF is already priced in. ETF is sell the news, sell the news, sell the news, sell the news. It is literally ad nauseum. I am so unbelievably immersed in this. And once again, what do we have here? Yet another example of the pain trade being up. And that's because I think a lot of crypto Twitter, which by the way, I'm about to prove to you, are the only people who actually believe the ETF is happening or are excited about it, have psyoped themselves into thinking that this is a sell the news or a bearish event, meaning that the gains are coming out and people are going to dump. Now that could happen. Again, I do not have a crystal ball, but I can tell you that the signs that I'm reading on the timeline, the sentiment across the industry is screaming that people think, hey, Q4 was too good to be true. It needs to dump now. We need to have a moment of pain. Everyone's too euphoric. We need to punish the community, and then we can move higher. And most people have very reserved expectations for what comes next. But I'm going to tell you not only what I think comes next, but what I think happens to altcoins and how I'm investing around this. So make sure you stay to the very end. If you haven't yet, please smash that like button because I put a lot of effort and energy into researching these videos. Okay, check this out. Here's the kicker though. The reality is that most of the traditional finance world does not believe that the ETF is happening. In fact, they're not following this at all. They do not even care. In fact, less than half of all financial advisors expect a spot Bitcoin ETF in 2024. Less than half expect it to happen within a year, not just this week or this month. You're talking about the majority believing that this isn't going to happen, right? And the vast majority, this is less than 40%, believe that it'll happen this year, much less all of us crypto degens following it play by play by play. But the thing is that 88% of the financial advisors also believe that if it were to happen, it would be a massive positive catalyst. And only 19% of these advisors are actually able to buy Bitcoin for their clients today. So let's break that down one more time. 61% of financial advisors don't even think a Bitcoin ETF will happen this year. Of all the analysts though, 88% believe it will be a massive catalyst. And then here's the kicker. They're going to be incentivized by their employers, these big investment banks, to push the Bitcoin ETF because the winner of this ETF is competing for billions of dollars, pretty much of passive annual revenue. They don't really have to do much. Once the ETF is set up, managing it is not a huge overhead thing. This is going to be pretty much free money for whoever is able to take the lead. And so you better believe that people are going to be putting their hearts and souls into getting that lead. Translation. Once this happens, every single financial advisor is going to be pushing to sell this Bitcoin ETF like they're surviving off some Herbalife multi-level marketing pyramid-esque sales scheme. And I know comparing a Bitcoin ETF to Herbalife isn't exactly a positive thing, but I'm just saying these people are going to be selling like Wolf of Wall Street. They're going to be hustling, stuffing this product down their clients' throats because the bonuses probably internally for securing more market share in this particular product are, in my opinion, I'm guessing going to be astronomical. So the only question is, how do we know for sure that this is happening? Well, we just got word a few minutes ago that BlackRock has leaked that they believe the approval will happen on Wednesday. We know that we are within spitting distance days of this happening. And this is, of course, according to Fox Business. Again, when it officially happens and it's officially announced, that will be the gap between a few days between when it actually starts trading, according to our sources. So it could mean that we get a spot Bitcoin ETF as soon as Friday of next week, or it could come the following Monday. We also have Craig Salm here, who, as you can see, is the chief legal officer for Grayscale. Remember, they're the ones who actually won the court case against the government that allowed for them to create all these spot ETFs. They are effectively our hero in shining armor who has made all this possible. And we saw on January 4th, remember, we are a few days after that now, he said, just filling out some forms. And that literally led everyone to speculate, oh my God, it's happening. They're just filling out the final forms to go live with their ETF. We also have Anthony Scaramucci, who's a massive Bitcoin bull here, and he tweeted, it's done, right around the same time of this tweet here from Craig Salm. Again, these are Wall Street insiders and executives at ETF issuers effectively saying, hey, read through the lines here, this is about to happen. Meanwhile, the vast majority of financial analysts have their heads firmly inserted under the ground. Literally, Wall Street has their head so far in the sand on this one that we are participating in what could be one of the biggest information asymmetries that has ever existed in the financial world. Probably not. Never mind. We'd actually have to ask Congress about their stock trading tips. That's the information asymmetry. But that, my friends, is another video. You see, the truth is that the ETF filing was a done deal as soon as BlackRock put their application in, and we covered it as such on this channel for months and months now. Of course, this channel has been one of the most vocally bullish since the beginning of 2023, declaring the new bull market as soon as those bank bailouts happened. Now, this BlackRock ETF just brought it into a new level of legitimacy. You cannot underestimate the flows that are going to happen. But again, in my opinion, most people are missing this. You see, we now have rumors that BlackRock has more than $2 billion lined up for week one in new incremental flows from existing Bitcoin holders. Everyone's going to try to rig the game so that they get the biggest market share in the Bitcoin ETF race. And in this case, BlackRock is saying we have $2 billion worth of new Bitcoin buys that are going to flood into the iShares, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. $2 billion of buying power on day one will not only set records, but it will most likely have a massive impact on the Bitcoin price. Remember, we are now seeing the biggest financial institutions in the world duke it out with each other, not only to get market share in the Bitcoin ETF, but to advertise the Bitcoin ETF to their clients, to the wealthiest Americans in the world who maybe, just maybe, need a little bit more convincing. Maybe, just maybe, they've been soured by the decade of absolutely atrocious propaganda that the mainstream financial world has waged and has assaulted the crypto movement with in the phase that they were trying to fight crypto. So they've got a lot of work here to change the narrative to make it palatable to grandma and grandpa to start dollar cost averaging into that old Bitcoin. But imagine what's going to happen if they get all their buddies in on day one. They say, hey, bring us a big amount of liquidity and we promise you guys you'll be in the money. That's probably more or less the conversations happening behind the scenes because BlackRock's biggest money bags, well, they like to know that they're getting a sweet deal. And so BlackRock will probably try to stuff them in right at the beginning. Remember, the more brutal this issuer competition is, the more that investors win because people are actually slashing fees here. And effectively, that is what the best ETF will do. It'll be cheap, right? You want to spend less to be in the asset. You want to have less fees taken out. So whoever does this the cheapest should, in theory, win. But we all know that's not quite how it works. It'll be based on who actually has the most assets. That'll be the winner. And it looks like BlackRock is trying their damnedest to blow everyone out of the water with day one inflows. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. A lot of really, really good analysts have predicted that we will see some massive correction here in Q1. I personally feel like there's been a lot of strength in the charts, and I just want to see how this shakes out with the Bitcoin ETF. I think that there's a lot of ways that this could essentially get investors off sides. For me, it feels like there's going to be some massive day one pump and then probably a huge correction, and then we pick up and things get more interesting maybe later on in Q2 or something like that. But it's also possible that the ETF creates a massive dump effect and people do sell the news. It's possible, though I find that a little bit hard to believe. The truth is that I'm heavily allocated to crypto. I have no more stable coins. I am max long right now for all of my current crypto allocation. Of course, I still have a big chunk of my net worth in US treasuries. And if things get really bloody, really brutal, I'm prepared to wire in more money and buy the dip. But the reality is, because I've been buying so much lower, I am so heavily in the profits right now that I'm okay with a little bit of a dip and I don't feel pressured to buy too many more new coins. That said, I'm always making little moves in the market, trying to find the next hot coins. And here's what I think is going to be the case if we do get price appreciation in early 2024, which I certainly hope and believe is possible based on the billions of dollars of projected inflows into the Bitcoin ETF. First off, this guy, Kush, I've never heard of him before this bear market, but he does these like wildly bullish charts. And he's been saying stuff like we're going to be at 110K within 4 weeks. He originally said we'd be there before the end of 2023. That didn't pan out. You can see here, he's comparing the price action right here to the end of 2020 and saying, we are here. He's saying like, essentially, we're going to have this vertical liftoff that takes us up to, effectively 3x where we are, somewhere there about just shy of 3x where we are. And here we're sitting at about 45,000 when he did this. So if that's the case, by the middle of Q1, we'd be sitting here at $100,000 Bitcoin. And I want to just be very clear. This could happen, which is why I've said there's just such a huge risk in being out of this market. I don't think this is very likely. This is extreme bullishness, but it is possible, right? These things are possible. Of course, it's worth noting that his analysis actually believes that we are at the tail end of a bull run and that this will sort of complete the move, that move up to, somewhere in the $100,000 to $225,000 range. Of course, it's worth noting that he does argue here that this is the end of the bull run. We'll hit somewhere in the $225,000 range by, mid next year, and then that will actually be the cycle top. This is not an analysis that I've seen really anywhere else. I would classify this under bullish porn here, under bullish Bitcoin porn. If this happens, it would just be amazing because it would happen so quickly. But then again, we might get some horrific bear market, not as fun. So again, I just wanted people to be aware there's all kinds of predictions going on. And in ETF, if things get really, really hot, people might just start dumping money in. I mean, trillions of dollars can now just flow in like this. That's the promise of an ETF. And if we do get massive pumps, well, that's always the best marketing for people to buy more. People love to buy stuff that pumps. It's just human psychology. The other thing that I have to show you is that this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin and ETH. Look how perfect this is, the total 3 market cap. You can see that it had this perfect retest of this green line level. But you can see it's now bounced off of it. And if you look, it had this exact same relationship back at the end of 2020, where it bounced off right here and then it went on its parabolic run. So could that be the moment we're about to see, this parabolic run? Well, let's talk about it. One thing that I want to be clear of here is that if Bitcoin really gets going, it will most likely suck money out of the alts temporarily. People will sell alts to jump into Bitcoin feeling like they might miss this generational move in Bitcoin. If it's a sell the news event and Bitcoin sells off, then alts will probably dump as well. In fact, short term, I think there could definitely be some indigestion here for altcoins. I mean, we have seen like 1,000% gains in the alts over the last few months. But that doesn't mean, in my opinion, that you should forsake your altcoins. Quite the contrary. I believe that there is probably no better opportunity than when Bitcoin's on a mad tear than to be sizing up and planning your altcoin buys. Remember, as Bitcoin kept tearing up all through 2023, people mocked me for saying that I was buying altcoins. And then I banged out so many 10Xs over the next few months. And don't get me wrong, Bitcoin had some juicy gains, about 3X off the ultimate low. But in my opinion, making 10Xs left and right is significantly better. Again, outperforming Bitcoin is something that anyone can do if you know where to look. And the thing is, the market has given us an incredible insight into where exactly we should look. First and foremost, let's talk about my beautiful baby boy, Coinbase. That's right. This stock has been one of the biggest rippers, I think, in the history of rippers. But in my opinion, it's just getting started. It's still about a third of its prior all-time high, and I believe it has a lot of room to run. My prediction for Coinbase is to make it easily past $500 this cycle and possibly over $1,000, though I will be selling as we approach that $1,000 mark. Remember when we talked about the information asymmetry as well inside crypto versus outside crypto? Well, Coinbase is about to acquire a new application in the EU that would allow them to provide derivatives to all of Europe. Not to mention, check this out. I love this tweet from Will here. He says, what I like so much about the coin trade is that there's clear information asymmetry between the street and crypto natives. Street is asleep at the wheel, not seeing that Coinbase is a venture-style bet in the public market, exchange to crypto super app. At the top of the market, they will extrapolate all of the crypto native revenue verticals that they are missing now, and that's when we dump on them. Coinbase is far more than just a crypto exchange. They have a derivatives network globally. They have the base chain, which is an L2 on Ethereum, and they literally have countless investments across the space. Coinbase is one of the biggest bets on the entire crypto space, and it is wildly misunderstood by Wall Street. In fact, check this out. Wall Street's consensus for coin is a 30% drop in market value, meaning that they believe that the current price of $150 needs to come down dramatically, at least by 30%. And this is based on 20 ranked analysts offering 12-month price targets for coin in the last 3 months. The average price is $109 with a high estimate of $200 and a low estimate of $39. And what's so crazy is you can see here, we were already at almost, what was that, 180 almost? So the ultimate high prediction from all of these analysts is something we almost already hit on this run. One more tick up here, and you can see after it busts through this 180-ish resistance, the next real major resistance is maybe, what, 250 here? Or maybe 235? The point is, Wall Street is asleep at the wheel. Just like they're asleep at the wheel with the Bitcoin ETF, they have no idea how to value Coinbase stock. They might just be antagonistic to crypto and not like crypto. They might actually be actively trying to keep people from knowing how big these opportunities are because they don't want the train to run away or whatever the saying is. But regardless, there is such a massive asymmetry between the people who watch videos like EllioTrades and the people who are sitting in the desks in Wall Street that I can't help fight the feeling that this is probably some of the freest money and one of the best trading environments that the world has ever seen. And it probably won't repeat itself, not quite this easily. maybe ever again. That is assuming that I'm right about Bitcoin ETF being bullish, which I think is a fair estimation based on what we know, the facts and circumstances that I've just outlined for you. So let's talk about some coins that I think are going to perform well in this environment. So remember I showed you this chart, this total 3 chart. Let's go into a bigger view of it here. And what you can see here is that this is the total 3 chart. You can see that I've expanded it up here. You can see this chart here. You can see these 3 points of contact, how it broke through and now it's retested this. It's really done this beautiful, beautiful retest here where you can see that it bounced almost literally picture perfect off this line and is now trying to use it as support before it, hopefully goes, onward and upward here. That's what we want to see it do. The question is, where exactly could this go? And to answer that question, it's really important that we understand what it did last time. Well, here is the very similar retest. We can see the corollary level here, and let's go ahead and see where it topped. It went from this breakout zone that we're at, where again, we're at the same breakout zone, and it went up about, 532%. 532% roughly from those lines. Let's go ahead and see where 532% takes us. And again, bull runs have diminishing returns for the most part, so it might not be 532, but I'm just giving you a sense of scale here. Here we get 532%, which takes us to pretty much $3 trillion, $2.93 trillion, right? So if we go to about $3 trillion, you can see we're at about 480 billion to 3 trillion. That's $2.52 trillion, $2.52 trillion in new market cap. And what you need to understand here is that all of these gains that everyone thinks have been life-changing, all of these gains that people think have been way too euphoric, way, way, way too big. Well, guess what? Those have happened from 292 billion, just call it about 300 billion, up to a little under 500 billion. So we've had less than 200 billion here in change, right? Less than $200 billion in market cap for altcoins has been added. And yet everybody's declaring this the end of the run. We're too euphoric, too bullish. Less than 200 billion. And if you look here, the math shows that we should have over 10x that. In fact, exactly 12.6x. The amount of capital that we've already seen grow within crypto could be what we see ahead of us for the altcoins. So let's talk about how I'm going to be allocating to this and some mistakes that I made at precisely this particular moment in the bull run. And there's literally no better token to illustrate this than Solana. You see, here we were as Bitcoin was just starting to try to get up to rip towards its prior all-time highs. Really the end of 2020, Bitcoin was still trudging up, had not quite hit its prior all-time high. Solana was sitting here at about 100 million, right? I believed that $100 million market cap was pretty high. At that time, that was one of the higher altcoin market caps, and it might be considered by many to be expensive. Well, guess what? It made its way very quickly up to the $1 billion mark right as Bitcoin was breaking out to new highs, and I considered that very expensive. So nobody was really trying to buy Solana at these market cap prices, and you can see here the price here in early 2021 was about $3, right? About $3. Go back to market cap, that put it at about a $1 billion market cap circulating. Well, if we look here, it went up to about 77 billion, and the price went from $3 up to nearly 260, right? So from $3 to 260, not quite 100x, but the vast majority of 100x, my friends. So why am I bringing you Solana from the last cycle? Again, Elliot, we know Solana. How are we supposed to learn from this? Well, I want to be really clear. The lesson here is that the coins that are strong now, before Bitcoin goes into full bull mode, again, if it goes into full bull mode, you need to own the fact that I might be wrong here. It might not go full bull mode. It might take a while longer. It might take till the second half of 2024 for things to really get going. That's not my current base case, but that's certainly possible, and you need to be ready for that outcome if it happens. But if Bitcoin goes full bull mode, in my opinion, the biggest places to be placing your capital are going to be on the proven winners of this early cycle. You see, think of your coins like prize fighters, the ones that are really, really strong, the ones that are knocking everybody out, that are 22-0, 32-0. You don't expect them to step into the ring and get knocked out. No, they're undefeated. Think of that in the way that you think of your coins. The coins that have just been crushing it like crazy, if the bull market continues, they will continue to crush it and outperform. And so, of course, things like Solana are top of that list. They've been some of the strongest performers. We've also seen a massive parabolic move over things like Say. And what is Say? It's a parallelized EVM. It's effectively people looking at it as it could be a Solana competitor, even though, to be fair, it's in the EVM world. Let's not get too complex here. People are looking at it as another hyper-fast blockchain, right? Looking at the strong layer ones, the ones that have had insane years in 2023, those are the ones that are most likely going to continue to have insane years going forward. Because once Bitcoin hits 100K, the amount of liquidity in the crypto ecosystem will mean that smaller altcoins will start being way, way bigger. The actual definition of a cheap or expensive altcoin will reprice up dramatically. And what was an insanely overpriced network, maybe at $1 billion, will be seen maybe as cheap. It's all relative. Of course, with Bitcoin at multi-trillions, that changes the perspective. If Ethereum makes it up to 1 to 2 trillion, well, that changes the potential ceiling for Solana or any other challenger to Ethereum. Hope you understand how this goes. So even though things might seem like they have a ceiling now, that ceiling gets moved up dramatically as Bitcoin races up to new highs. And the biggest mistake that I made on the prior cycle was thinking that because something had already pumped, because something seemed expensive early in the cycle, that it really didn't have that room to run. When some of these proven amazing technological projects, things like Solana early cycle last time, had almost 100x left, and that was after it had gone crazy, a 10x pump, and was sitting at $1 billion val. My biggest mistake wasn't betting on the proven winners, the ones that have gone up 10x already over the last month, the ones that have these strong community waves, the ones that are poised to keep winning like that prize fighter. Those are the tokens that, if we're blessed with this next leg in Bitcoin, will continue to destroy the market and will make people, I think, the best risk-adjusted returns. Again, looking at the top, we have Solana is the next in line to Ethereum. Ethereum's had horrible price action. I think it'll get better once Bitcoin breaks out to new highs. Avalanche and Solana have moved pretty much in lockstep. Amazing gains out of both of them. I bought both of them very near the bottom. Injective, like we've been telling you for a while, that chart is ridiculous. It keeps winning. Caspa has been very strong, and it actually doesn't have say on the list here. I don't know why, but that one for sure should be on your list. And a new one coming this year, Monad, whenever that releases, should do very well as well. Gosh, CoinGecko really needs to update their categories. They don't even have Superverse in the gaming category, and they don't have Celestia in the layer 1 category. They don't have Say, and they don't have Celestia, which of course are two very, very hot tokens. Again, nothing sucks up liquidity like these new shiny layer 1s, because it has potential to be the next Ethereum, and Ethereum has potential to be the next Bitcoin. Effectively, a new layer 1 is the biggest show in town. Any project with its own blockchain is the biggest possible value in the space. But again, layer 1s aren't the only category in town. In fact, I believe, as you know, that gaming and AI are the two categories that are most likely to help you win the coordination game. You see, crypto is not about what you think is good or what technology is good. It's about where the max amount of people are coordinating, meaning you want to go to the place that you think the most amount of people are about to go to next. And in my opinion, the allure of a mainstream crypto game and the amount of money that's been invested in this will for sure create a crypto gaming hit within the next 24, maybe 36 months. But I'm optimistic that we'll see some massive results here in 2024. I'm hopeful. And what we've seen is that Immutable X has gone absolutely bananas here. You can see it's up 425% off the lows of 37 cents. And it's just been on an absolute mad tear. Of course, we've covered it extensively throughout the bear market. I am a massive Immutable X holder as well. And I've never sold a token of Immutable X. Again, also in the gaming category is Beam or Merit Circle. They have both been titans and going absolutely bananas. So make sure you're aware of the gaming tokens that have been crushing it, because most likely once the whole market reprices up, those gaming tokens will have more room to run. I believe that this market cycle isn't complete until we see a gaming token and an AI token either in the top 10 or sniffing around to get into the top 10 of cryptocurrencies by market cap. And that'll mean that those entire categories will reprice up with a vicious disregard for whatever you or anyone else thinks is logical. And remember, I told you guys my favorite AI project in the whole space is Akash, and this thing has been absolutely ripping. It was as high as $3.24. Look at this chart. Look at this chart over the last year. This, my friends, is a gorgeous chart. It just pretty much just grinds its way up just so nicely here. Anyway, as I've said, AI is going to benefit from constant advancements in AI from the normie world. AI is progressing at a breakneck pace. And every time there's a major piece of news, let's say that the government wants to ban AI research or something like that, well, that's bullish for decentralized AI. If there's something positive that happens with OpenAI, that's bullish for decentralized AI. If there's anything positive or negative that creates news for AI, that makes people more interested interested in decentralized AI. And right now, there's not that many high quality projects, so it's really easy to get your hands on ones that are definitely interesting. And I'll be doing a full deep dive on AI cryptocurrencies very soon. As you know, I've done a lot on gaming and will continue to do a lot on gaming. In fact, I believe that this has become the highest signal crypto gaming community in the world. And it gives me a tremendous sense of joy because this is a movement that, as you know, I care so much about. Again, there's a massive update for Superverse coming this month. I'm very excited to bring that to you, and I hope you guys are excited as well. I haven't been able to make any content, one, because I didn't have a tremendous amount of new information to add to my prior videos, but also I've been heads down working on something absolutely monstrous, and I hope you guys are excited. So now you know effectively what you should understand, which is that the information asymmetry around the Bitcoin ETF is ridiculous. This is happening. It's a guarantee. It's actually already happened probably, with the official approval coming at some point next week. Meanwhile, the vast majority of financial analysts on Wall Street have their head buried in the sand, although they admit that they'd be here to buy this ETF if it existed, and they don't know how to invest in Bitcoin on behalf of their clients today. We hear that BlackRock has $2 billion lined up to inject into its ETF so that they can become the front runner in the Bitcoin ETF race, which will be worth passive flows of billions of dollars in revenue each year. This is one of the biggest financial races in the history of our world, and we have most people in crypto believing it's a sell the news event. And what we know is that nobody's following crypto Twitter. Nobody outside the crypto bubble is focused on what's happening inside crypto Twitter's bubble, and people inside crypto Twitter's bubble have become convinced that the ETF is priced in and that nothing else good can come of this. It's all very interesting, but once again, I feel like the timeline is on the wrong side of the trade. That's my particular belief, and that's why I've put my chips and allocated them the way they are, which is effectively to say, I'm long. I am invested in this crypto market, and I'm ready. If we end up getting a big pullback, who cares? I've held coins for years, and I plan to hold them throughout 2024 for sure. But I'm not a believer that this is a negative news event. In fact, I think we might see a massive explosive candle up, and then we might see some pullbacks or whatever it might be. But I do believe that the Bitcoin ETF is unexpected on Wall Street, that the crypto community has overthought this a little bit too much, and really just need to simplify, zoom out, and realize this is a massively bullish thing for crypto. The crypto total market caps are showing that altcoins have trillions of dollars of room to run if history is to repeat. And in my opinion, people would be making a massive mistake by trying to go for stuff that hasn't gotten love from the market, go for stuff that isn't strong and isn't trending, when the reality is that those trending coins could go so much further than your wildest expectations, but you can't see it yet until the whole market expands like an accordion. It's a very exciting time, and regardless of whether you're bullish, bearish, or otherwise, this is history, and we should all be very blessed to be living through history. For those of you who might be looking for a way to become more active, I think that this was a very valuable piece of advice from Santiago, which is diversifying cash flow is really important. Effectively, make as much money as you can make. Focus on making and generating income instead of just allocating whatever money you have. If you're already a high earner, then great. I personally find it very, very soothing, the fact that I spend less than I make each month. And that allows me to constantly bet into the cryptocurrency markets, not feeling like I'm risking my lifestyle or risking my entire world with each bet, because we know that they are high risk, high reward bets. I mean, in the end, there's a probability that we go up and there's a probability that we go down. I personally have believed that the probability we go up is more likely. That's why I've been betting, and I have been actually winning quite a bit this year. In fact, 2023 was an historic year for me, but I believe 2024 is going to make everything else I've done look about this tiny. And so if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, please try to figure out how to generate more income in your daily life. Grind, hustle. This year, it is worth it, I believe, because there's so much upside in crypto. So if you have the ability to constantly earn income that you can then convert into more opportunities to win in crypto, I believe that's the way forward. Again, I'm just a YouTuber, so you got to make your own decisions and figure out what's right for you. Well, there you have it. There's my thoughts on what's happening with the Bitcoin ETF this week, where I think the coins will go in January, how I'm positioned, the odds of it going up, down, or sideways, and now the rest is up to you. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and check out this Bible I made on investing in cryptos in 2024. I believe it'll age like fine wine, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.